First of all, what is empiricism? Empiricism is a philosophical term derived from the ancient Greek, empiria, meaning experiment, experience, sense data. So what is experience? In this context, all kinds of experiments necessarily require the sensing ability of a living thing, an animal organism. Unlike other animals, we comprehend this information we obtain with our five senses, thanks to our ability to think and distinguish, which belongs only to our species, and we transform this acquired information into a sense perception. Empiricism is the view that suggests that knowledge can be gained through sensations and experience. And he claims that our knowledge cannot have a metaphysical basis. According to empiricism, there is no a priori, innate knowledge in the human mind. Man is a blank slate to the world. It comes as tabula rasa. We learn, grow and develop through our experiences. Empiricism is the opposite of rationalism. Contrary to rationalism, empiricism accepts only knowledge based on sensation and experience as knowledge. Empiricism has a philosophical basis claiming that all kinds of knowledge are acquired through experience and sensations. Although the subject I want to talk about is modern empiricism, we cannot pass without mentioning the ancient philosophers. Their views played a big role in the emergence of these movements. First of all, Decartes' atomic theory is enormous. The roots of the materialist understanding of natural science are based on Decartes. At the same time, the causal necessary universe understanding and the philosophical scientific thought based on this understanding also find their roots in Decartes. In the period when natural philosophers were in search of the arche, what is the essence of everything? When asked, the answer for Decartes was atom, indivisible, the last fulcrum of matter. The atom is its essence. Everything is made up of atoms and their mobility. It's amazing that he can put forward such an idea for his time. To speak of Epicurus, we need knowledge in order to determine the laws of motions. Knowledge comes from sensation. We get new sensations from our experiences. According to Epicurus, the sensations we obtain through sensation are not knowledge itself. These sensations we obtain are reflections that can only be perceived by the senses, suggesting that the sense organs may be misleading or perceive reflections in different ways. According to Epicure, people's experiences affect the perception process of their mood and prevent people from reaching certain information. Here, Epicure aimed to distinguish them with the mind and to reach the knowledge with the ones that can be certain. The sensations and impressions acquired by the sense organs are transformed into imaginations through the mind, and thus knowledge emerges. We will talk about the two currents of epistemology, rationalism and empiricism. Is the way to reach knowledge through pure reason or through sensation and experience? Let's ask this question today and start a reflection process together. Which side do you see yourself on? Is it one of those who think that they can obtain certain and clear knowledge through reason? Or is it someone who thinks that experimentation is the only real kind of knowledge acquisition? You can also express your own ideas in the comments. Let's get to our topic, the most important representatives of the rationalism movement: Socrates, Plato, Aristotle in ancient Greek philosophy, Farabi in the Islamic world. In modern European philosophy, Descartes, Leibniz, Spinoza and Hegel. Rationalism is the source of knowledge. It is the name given to the philosophical approach that defends the thesis that true knowledge can only be obtained with reason and thought. Accordingly, certain and universal information can only be reached through reason and with a deductive approach. This view, which argues that reason is the main source of knowledge, affirms the existence of various a priori, i.e. pre-experimental knowledge, and self-evident truths, assuming that every individual has equal and unchangeable rational and logical principles. Rationalism is generally known as continental philosophy in Europe, because in England empiricism is more dominant. To define oneself as rational, a person must accept that rational intuition is the source of all or part of our a priori knowledge. A priori knowledge of truth is possible. In other words, it is to accept innate knowledge and rely on reason, intuition and pre-experience knowledge in the way of understanding knowledge. Of course, no philosopher has completely rejected the experiment. They have said that the experiment is insufficient to reach certain knowledge. This current is the opposite view of empiricism, because empiricism rejects a priori knowledge and sees experiment and experience as the main source of knowledge. For Western philosophy in the modern era, I need to talk about Descartes, who is seen as the founder of the rationalism movement, and his method of reaching knowledge. René Descartes was a French philosopher, mathematician and scientist. He was born in 1596 in La Haye-en-Touraine, France, province of Touraine, now called Descartes. He is an important philosopher who tried to save philosophy from the pressure of all kinds of religious and political authorities. This effort enabled him to become a great philosopher and scientist. For Descartes, information is obtained from these three sources. It comes from the sense organs, imagination, artificial knowledge, and a priori, innate. In order to reach definitive information, Descartes based his method on four rules: clarity, analysis, order, and number. The reason why he put forward this method is the dogmas imposed by the church and the scientific world in his age. If any of this information is doubtful, that information is not absolutely correct. For Descartes, the most precise knowledge is mathematical knowledge. He says that mathematics gives unchangeable results without any connection with any sense organ. I will explain it to you with a simple example. When we wake up in the morning, we know that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Even when we sleep at night, we are still sure that 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? Here, mathematical knowledge that is not dependent on the senses, based on reason, never loses its precision. You may know him best by saying, "I think, cogito ergo sum, therefore I am." So, what is this thinking? What is this existence? Cogito ergo sum is René Descartes' philosophical phrase, a founding element of Western rationalism. It is included in Descartes' discourse on method, Discours sur la méthode. The first proposition is doubt. With this proposition, Descartes said, "I can doubt everything, but I doubt I cannot doubt, because doubting is the form of thought. I cannot doubt that I think, thinking requires a thinker. I cannot doubt my own subject existence as a thinker. So I exist as a thinking being." Descartes chose to think skeptically and to sort through the information he obtained. This sorting has shown that any information is suspect, if I have to mention it. According to Descartes, even a deceiver who devoted everything to deceiving me, Descartes called it the evil demon, will not be able to convince me that I am not a thinking being, as long as I think I am a thinking being. If he is deceiving me, then there is no doubt that I exist. He may deceive me as much as he likes, he will never be able to make me nothing as long as I think I am a thinking being. So much so that, after considering everything carefully, every time I push the proposition, I exist, it is necessary to conclude that it is necessarily true and to accept that it is unchangeable. He said that doubt is the first step towards reaching true knowledge. Modern empiricism. Next, we will talk about the philosopher John Locke, who systematized empiricism in the modern period. Locke, who is regarded as the founder of empiricism, mentions that the source of knowledge is experience and experience. Locke is one of the philosophers who influenced the Enlightenment philosophy to a great extent in terms of both defending the freedom of human thought because of explaining the importance of experiment and experience, and basing human knowledge and activity on experience. As it is seen, Locke was a philosopher who opposed the views of rationalists, saw the assumption that we have some knowledge that did not come from experience as a dream, a delusion, and tried to show that all our knowledge came from experience. There is nothing in the mind that has not been found in the senses before. According to Locke, there are two sources of knowledge. The first is the external experience, sensation, which allows us to know the external world through the senses. The second is the inner experiment, reflection, which informs us of the various operations of our mind. This kind of knowledge, whose source is experience, is called a posteriori knowledge in philosophy. All the information we have obtained is a posteriori information. According to Locke, the following abilities are needed for knowledge to occur. The first, perception that enables us to understand the designs we have obtained. Second, memory, the part that stores this information, called memory or memory. In this age, such concepts have not been used for the brain yet. Third, discrimination, our ability to distinguish between two different concepts. Fourth, comparison, we have separated the obtained information. This is our comparison ability needed to weigh the obtained information, good and bad. Our ability to compare the good and bad aspects of this distinguished information is comparison. Fifth, combining it is our ability to take the good sides of the two information obtained and synthesize the positive sides to produce a better method. Sixth and lastly, abstraction, the ability of abstraction to find the common element in similar thoughts and designs. Abstraction is the reflection on the common features and differences between some different complex ideas belonging to human beings. In addition, understanding abstract concepts is not an innate ability. A person acquires this ability through experience. For Locke, there are three types of acquiring knowledge. The first is intuitive knowledge. Through this knowledge we have the knowledge of our own existence. According to Locke, this type of knowledge is certain and solid. Second, let's talk about the acquisition of sensory information. This type of knowledge is the knowledge of the entities that we obtain from outside. It is impossible for the knowledge gained through this way of acquiring knowledge to be based on a definite and solid basis, with the thought that not every person can have the same experience. As the third, we will talk about the type of descriptive information. We can think of it as a synthesis of two information we have experienced before. For example, we know that a paper will fall on the ground, right? We know this because of gravity. It is the process of establishing a causal relationship between two different propositions, as in the process of linking the fall of bodies to gravity. He rejected the a priori source of knowledge, which was the view of rationalism for Locke, argued that the real source of knowledge would be only experience. And the assumption that we have some information that has not been obtained through experimentation is a mistake. In summary, let us describe John Locke's empiricism as follows. Later on, some designs are produced in memory through the impressions obtained from experience, and the combination and processing of these produced designs in different ways leads us to more complex thoughts. To explain this view, he said, "Indeed, there is nothing in the mind that does not come from experience, except the mind itself." John Locke.